So you're heading into a hostile environment for the first time this year, really, because with so many fans in Vegas, that wasn't really hostile. Do you does it take an adaptation time to get that first one? Because you've been through this before. You've been through it before in your career, but that first road game of the season, does it take a little bit just to get adapted to that?
Um, I don't feel like it does. I feel like it's almost easier to get your energy going because everybody's yelling at you and stuff. But I love away game, and so I'm excited for it.
Talk to me about momentum, Peony, because at home you get that momentum and it's almost like a wave you ride with the crowd behind you. When you're on the road and you shut up a team, because you get that momentum, is it even bigger?
Yeah, I mean it's a good feeling when you come out and they're yelling and hollering at you to start the game, and then to hear the crowd go silent. It's a good feeling. We have like our own energy on the sideline at that point.
Hey, Beanie, talk to me about the O-line and just how, I guess, sort of break down how they've been doing throughout the season so far.
I think they're doing good. Feel like they're getting better and better each week, learning to work as one unit, and I feel like they showed a lot of great things throughout the first couple weeks, and they're only getting better.
And for you being a running back, just how instrumental are they for you to have a successful performance?
I mean it's a big part. If they're working well together, then obviously Tyler and I have a big day.
Hey, Lopini, 2 years ago up in Logan, I think you probably had your best game as a Cougar, at least receiving 4 catches for 129 yards. What do you remember about that game and the atmosphere?
I remember that we were, we had some business to handle because of what they did to us the year before. So we were fired up and we wanted to take the wagon wheel back. And so we had a lot of energy going into that game, and we kind of overwhelmed them.
What makes a good pass-catching running back?
I feel like you got obviously have to have good hands and just a feel for running routes and finding that spacing.
Do you feel like you've developed a really good knack for that?
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think I'm a good, receiving back.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jake. Let's go Mitch, and then Jake, followed by Sean.
Lopini, see your sweater at Big 12. Are you excited about that?
Oh, yeah. I had this for a while, so I guess I was kind of manifesting it. But, yeah, I was always a fan of the Big 12 growing up, born in Texas, and so Big 12 was, like, my favorite conference. And so it's cool to see BYU going in the Big 12 soon.
And I mean, they'll be in 2023. You'll be moving on, pursuing other endeavors at that point, I imagine. What do you think it'll do for BYU football in the future, you think?
I think it's huge. I think it's going to take BYU to the next level. We were already pushing to compete with all the top level teams, and now we're there and we're in it.
Just one more question from me with the Utah State game this week. At that time, 2 years ago, when you last played the Aggies, you guys had a losing record, and since you guys have had a lot of success. What do you feel have been some of the drivers of creating all the success that you guys have had? I think 20-3 over the last 23 games or so.
I think we just learned how to be more consistent. We showed a lot of good things those years that we didn't, necessarily have a winning record. We would win big games, but now we've learned how to, control adversity and handle it well and be more consistent and win games one after another.
Thanks, Lopini.
Yep.
Peony, as you guys get ready to take on Utah State, can you just give me a little of a scouting report of what you see from them on film?
You see basically what you always see in the Utah State defense for us is it's a team that has a high motor. They run around the field, they play fast, they play physical, and they definitely are. They play with a chip on their shoulder. That's how Utah State always plays.
And you're a kid that's from this state. You mentioned you were born in Texas, but do you like these in-state games? Do you like just kind of the energy that it comes from both fan bases, not living, in some cases living across the street or next door to one another?
Yeah, it's fun. It definitely means a little more when they're in-state games, in-state rivals, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jake. Go ahead, Sean.
Kenny, we hear a lot about the herd and the Utah State fan base and kind of how they like to hashtag pack the Mav and everything up there, especially when you guys come to town. How can you give us a little bit of an example of like how mean is that fan base? I mean, how hostile is it, and how much? I mean, you mentioned how much it gets you guys going and everything, but like just kind of how mean do they get, or maybe were they a couple years ago when you went up there?
Yeah, they get into it. They do their job as fans, and they try to get in your head. It's funny. I remember one time in warm-ups, a receiver dropped the ball, and they were on his back for that. It was just funny, but it's fun. Like they do their thing. They cheer, but a couple years back, they didn't really have a ton to cheer about. So we're hoping to do the same thing.
Jake, you got another question?
Yeah, I just got one more here. Peeny, obviously, you had Jaron Hall starting the first 3 games of the year, and then we see Baylor Romney step in this past week. You get a front row seat lining up next to both of those guys. How would you evaluate how Baylor did stepping in for Jaron?
Baylor did what Baylor does. He comes in and he plays clutch. He does. We can always count on Baylor, so it's really nice to have those two. It doesn't matter who's on the field. Everybody's confident in both of them.